Welcome to Defend the Fort, a show that focuses on the happenings in and around the Fort Hays State University campus and beyond. I'm your host, Haley White, and today I have the privilege to be joined by Amanda White, one of my older sisters, a Fort Hays State alum and Director of Client Services for Day One Sports and Entertainment based in Georgia. Amanda was a 2015 graduate of FHSU, earning a degree in business management. She started out as an intern before making the leap to Director of Client Services. Amanda deals with professional football players. She's in town for family business and agreed to stop by to talk about the industry she's involved in and some of the joys and struggles. So Amanda, if you could explain what you do and what an average day of work consists of.
I don't think there is such a thing as an average work day in my business. You know, it really just depends on the time of the year. Like for example, in the summer, the months of June and July, our players are off, you know, from work. They're not practicing, they're not meeting with teams, they've got some downtime, so a lot of them like to do charity work, summer football camp, so we organize and plan all of those events. Next week, actually, I will be on the road for a week straight. Tuesday I'll be in Orlando, then Nashville the next day, then Houston, then Baton Rouge, Louisiana the day after, just event right after event. We've got about 5 within a week. So that's what a lot of the summertime consists of, is the events. Later this month we'll be going to training camp. We're hitting about 7 NFL training camps. We'll be going from California all the way up to New York. We're going to Raiders, 49ers, Cowboys, Jets, Patriots, training camps at the end of the month, and then, preseason football will start. But at different time of the year, it's different, I may be traveling to a game one day to see a player. I may be going on a recruiting visit. In between there, I'll be working on, marketing deals, endorsements. If we have a player that's up for a new contract negotiations, legal issues with players, unfortunately. I don't think there is such a thing as an average work day. It's just, I do something new every single week that I've never done before. But it does have a lot to do with the time of the year that it is.
And that keeps your job exciting too.
Definitely, keeps me on my toes.
So how did you get the position that you currently have?
So after I graduated, I moved to Oklahoma, and I ended up taking a job that was totally not what I wanted to do, out of the industry that I wanted to be in. I worked in medical sales. And while I was in Oklahoma, I still didn't give up on the hope that I would find, a job within the sports world, particularly football. So I was able to network, and I met Derek Gilmore, my partner and the owner of Day One Sports. He was an agent at the time, and he worked for another company, Priority Sports, and at that time he was thinking about, it was kind of an idea in his head that he wanted to branch out and start his own company. And I had interned for him for 6 months, unpaid, did everything that he needed me to do. I kind of had to prove myself. And once he saw that I was, hungry, ambitious, aggressive, when he started his own company, he asked me to come on as his partner and the Director of Client Services.
So being a part of a growing franchise, what are some marketing techniques that you use to stand out from other agencies?
We really pride ourselves on being small and family-oriented. That really appeals to the college players that we're recruiting and our current players now. We're, like I said, very family-oriented. We're not only accessible to the player himself, but their family as well. We have such close relationships with mom, siblings, dad, friends. I mean, we just have such a tight-knit family. I mean, it sounds cliche, but we really are a family. And, you think of agents that have 100 or so clients. We have 25 guys, you know, very small group, and it's just Derek and I. We take care of everything for them. We're very hands-on, and they like that. They don't want to be competing for our attention, and, you know, and I think that's what sets us apart. We're small, and, you know, we really pay attention and keep their best interests in mind.
It's no secret that the sports business is a man's world. So what is it like being a female in a male-dominated business?
Difficult, definitely. But I love the challenge. I mean, I face challenges every day with it. You know, not only being a female, but being younger than, you know, the majority of the men that I work with. So with that, I mean, it has its challenges, but it's nothing that I feel like I can't handle. You know, I will go to different events like Combine, the draft, a player's pro day, you know, recruiting visits, and I constantly get asked, oh, so whose girlfriend are you? Are you a player's girlfriend? No, I'm with his agency, you know, and I do get a little bit of satisfaction out of, you know, the look on their face when, you know, they find out why I'm there. So yeah, it's definitely challenging, but it's fun to me at the same time.
So would you say proving yourself to those that are in the business is the most rewarding thing of your job, or what is the most rewarding thing of your job?
The most rewarding thing for me is really, I mean, seeing my players succeed. You know, when you're watching your player on TV or even live at a game, and, you know, if we have a linebacker that sacks the quarterback, or if we have a receiver that catches a 60-yard touchdown pass, I mean, that to me is just because, you know, they're feeling that joy in themselves, and just seeing our players happy and seeing them be the best that they can be, that's the most rewarding.
So do you consider yourself the female version of Jerry Maguire?
I could be, except I have more than one client.
So during your time at Fort Hays, what specific goals did you set for yourself to ensure success after you graduated?
So when I was at Fort Hays, I mean, my last semester, it was in my head, you have to have a job lined up, you have to have a job lined up, you have to have a job lined up when you graduate. And well, graduation came, and, you know, I knew where I wanted to go, kind of had an idea of, you know, the second option for me, you know, if the sports business didn't work out. So I had the idea, but I ended up not up and leaving right then to go work. You know, I had to do a little bit of job searching after graduation, had to go on interviews. So, I mean, the goals that I set for myself, I mean, gradually came throughout. I just had to make sure that, you know, I did the best that I could in my classes, took them seriously. You know, I really just wanted to make sure that I didn't just want to, Derek and I always say, check the box. I wanted to actually get the most that I could from my time here at Fort Hays.
Speaking of your time here at Fort Hays, who were some of the most influential people while at your time here?
You know, the one person that really stands out to me is Robin Brungart. She works in the financial aid office. When I was here at Fort Hays, I worked in the financial aid office on campus for 2 years, and she was my boss. And I mean, I thought it was going to be a good fit, you know, because I wanted to get into business. At the time, I thought I may have an interest in, you know, finance, and I thought it kind of related to what I wanted to do. Well, I mean, I can't say I hated it, but I knew it wasn't, you know, I wasn't into the job, and Robin could sense that. So one day she sat me down and she was like, okay, Amanda, I know you don't like it. I know you don't like the job. I love you. You're a great worker, but, you know, I want you to be happy. So what do you want to do? Is there any other department? You know, what can I do to help you, you know, take a step further in your career and do something that you want to do. And it really took her saying that to me, because I loved Robin, I loved my coworkers, loved the girls that I worked with, but I really just did not like the job. And so I told her at that point, I was like, I want to be involved in sports somehow. I want to be over in the Coliseum doing something. I said, you know, I want to be, intramurals would be great. You know, just something to add to my resume that had that sports affiliation that would help me. And she was like, okay, made a couple phone calls, got me over in that department, and pretty soon I was working over there. So she really kind of pushed me and, you know, reminded me, okay, don't be complacent in what you're doing, you know, do something that you like to do. So I really thank her for that.
So what started your passion for sports when you were younger?
It really, I mean, I've always loved football, and that stemmed from, I'm sure you know, watching games with my dad when we were little. Ever since we were knee high, we were watching Dallas Cowboys football, you know, every week. And it's always a funny story that we like to tell. Our birthday parties when we were younger, you know, Dad would position the camcorder in front of the TV, because we usually had it on Sundays, and the Cowboys game would be on, and he would set us up in front of the TV to open our gifts. And I say, you know, he was really acting like he was recording us opening the gifts, but he really just wanted to watch football on TV.
He was recording the Cowboys game, yep.
So it really came from him. I mean, he raised me to be a Cowboys fan. I loved it ever since then. So, you know, I really didn't know. I knew I wanted to be involved in football somehow, because I just had a passion for the game, and it's an exciting industry. And that's where it really stemmed from, just the love of the game.
Who were some players that you followed when you were younger that sparked your interest?
So I loved Des Bryant. He was probably the number one. I mean, I don't know if I can say I idolized him, but I followed his every move. I loved his attitude, his love for the game, loved him as a player. You know, he was passionate about the game. So really him. I love Des Bryant.
Let's talk about your athletic career in school. Were you an athlete in high school?
I would not say I was an athlete. I played a little bit of high school basketball and volleyball. That's about as far as my athleticism went. No college ball. I was a watcher, not a doer.
And going back to how we used to watch sports with our dad, we also used to watch Monday Night Raw as well. And we used to like to act out our favorite wrestler. So who was the best wrestler in the family?
Oh, me, no doubt. Me, for sure. I thought I was going to be a WWE diva for years. I thought that was my calling in life for a long time. But between us, yeah, me, no question.
That's debatable. So on a more serious note, is this the line of work you expected to do at such a young age?
Like I said, I knew I wanted to be involved in football. The sports world, just wanted to really immerse myself into it. It took me a while to figure out what area of the business I wanted to get into, because I didn't know much about the business at the time, you know. And knowing what I know now, there's so many different facets of it. I mean, I thought at one point I wanted to get in on the marketing side, but the agency side, I mean, I knew what agents did. I knew a little bit about the industry, but I never thought that I would be doing it now.
What motivates you each day to help others to put their best foot forward?
I really just think about the people that I had around me, you know, when I was going through my journey, getting to where I am now, that motivated me, and just the words of encouragement, how important it was, you know, just pushing me. Like I told you Robin did, don't be complacent with where you're at. Be happy with what you're doing. And I just want to see everybody do well. And, you know, everybody deserves the opportunity to be successful, but you have to put the work into it. So if I can motivate, you know, Fort Hays students, young women, you know, I'll do it. So
going back to being a female in the business, how is it dealing with players' girlfriends and wives? Is it hard to gain their trust, or do you find them leaning towards you because you are a female?
There's really two sides to that. I wouldn't say it's difficult to gain their trust. You know, if I walk into a room and they just know, okay, we're having an agent meeting, say I'm recruiting a player, and they just know, okay, I'm going to be in on this agent meeting, and they see, you know, a young female walk in the room, they may be a little confused, like, and a little bit, you know, guarded. But once they start communicating with me, get to know me, you know, really see that I'm about business and keeping their husband or boyfriend's best interest in mind, once they get to know me, it's not an issue whatsoever. And then at that point, that's when it transitions into me being a female being a positive thing. You know, they may be embarrassed or scared to ask a male a dumb football question, or, you know, a dumb question that they may think is a dumb question, but they're more comfortable asking me because I'm closer to their age, I'm another woman. I make a point to make them feel very comfortable with me.
So one of your clients is Mike Evans. He's one of your most well-known clients. It's no secret he had to overcome some trials and tribulations within his life. So what do you learn from being around somebody like that?
Gosh, I learned a ton from Mike. I mean, he is what I would consider a perfect client. I mean, he is a great football player and an even better guy, father. I mean, I learned from him. I mean, he went through his situation with his family at a young age, but he didn't let that stop him. He never pitied himself. He never felt sorry for himself. He kept going, kept fighting, used it as a motivational tool for him. And now he's one of the most generous and selfless people that I know. He's always giving. You know, he sees people that were in his position and he really feels for them. The things that we do for Mike and that Mike wants to do, you know, for his foundation is not for show, so to speak. You know, I feel like a lot of athletes these days start foundations with the wrong goal in mind. Mike doesn't want to do 6 charity events a year to be nominated for Walter Payton Man of the Year award. That's not his, you know, main goal. He wants to help people and has the means to do it, so that's why he does it. To give you an example, last December we were organizing a week of charity events for him in Tampa. And, you know, he had the idea he wanted to do a dinner for a women's domestic violence shelter in Tampa. And so we found one in the Tampa area, and in communicating with them, you know, they let us know of all the confidentiality issues. I mean, it was crazy. There were so many of those women and the children there that they had people really looking for them, after them, and their lives were in danger, and that shelter was their, you know, safe haven. So our media was limited that we could do, our photography, we could not photograph those women and kids. So, you know, we advised Mike of that, you know, hey, we're not going to be able to advertise this like we do the other events, you know, this isn't something that we're going to be able to put out, you know. And he basically, his response was, okay, that's not why I'm doing it anyway, you know. I'm doing this because I want to do this for these women and kids. I don't care who knows that I did it or not. I know I did it, so that's all that matters. So that right there just shows you the type of guy that Mike is.
So for the rest of your clients, do you use Mike with the intent of motivating your other clients to get involved with charity?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, our clients, I mean, we all get along, they all know each other, we're very close-knit, so I really think without us trying to intentionally use him to motivate them, they motivate each other, and they see, hey, I have the means to do this too, so why am I not doing this? So yeah, I definitely think they all motivate each other in different ways.
To add on to that, how important in the industry is it to show that professional athletes are not the stereotypical athlete who only cares about himself or herself?
Yeah, there are a lot of stereotypes, you know, with our players, and it's crazy, you know, fans see them on TV on Sundays or Mondays or Thursdays on playing football, or they'll see an interview, or they'll see, oh, so-and-so got fined for this, so-and-so is suspended for this. They don't know the full story. And they like to judge the player based on what they see on TV. And they don't know that that's really not who that player is most of the time, for my guys anyway. You know, these guys are so much more caring, so much smarter than everybody gives them credit for. So yeah, it's definitely the perception that the media portrays them to be is not accurate most of the time.
And speaking of stereotypes, what about your stereotype as a female? Do you know the statistics behind females in the business?
I believe out of all the agents, 4% are female, so a very small number. And I mean, the stereotype is, I don't know how many times I've heard, well, you've never played football, what do you know about it? How can you be good at a job in this industry? You've never played the sport before, you know, so it's a lot of that going on, but you just have to ignore it, do the best job that you can do, and, you know, just prove everybody wrong.
So what are some future goals that you have?
So, you know, Derek and I talk about this all the time, I'd really like to sign a first rounder. Hopefully next year, that'd be nice. You know, it's just a never-ending cycle. I mean, recruiting season, I say there's two parts to this business. The recruiting side, in which we're recruiting college players to sign after their season ends and they're getting ready to enter the draft. And then there's the side where we have to take care of our current clients. And it's just a year-round thing, never ending. A new group of rookies come in, you know, and we're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So, I mean, Derek and I have talked about one day, you know, I'd like to take over our company and run it myself and bring a team in, you know, to do the job that I'm doing now, to bring a marketing group in, you know, just really expand it and make it, you know, bigger than what it is now, and really, you know, run it myself.
Awesome. So to wrap this up, do you have a fun story about either a specific event you were with one of your clients, or a game, or draft day, or? So
this isn't really, I mean, about one of my players, so to speak, but when I was in high school and even throughout college, you know, as a Cowboys fan, I technically not supposed to be a fan of any team now. I'm a fan of my players. But as a Cowboys fan that I once was, Jerry Jones was just the man to me. I loved Jerry Jones. So I had even written a paper in one of my college courses here at Fort Hays. It was supposed to be about a business person that I admired. I wrote it about Jerry Jones, greatest businessman on earth. So at the combine last year, I met Jerry for the first time. And, you know, in this business, you can't be, I mean, starstruck. Like when I first went to the Cowboys facility, met Dak Prescott, I straight face, hey, how you doing, you know? But when I met Jerry, that's when I was kind of had a fangirl moment. The only time I can think of, I mean, I've met a ton of people, but Jerry, I was like, wow, you know, got my picture with him, talked with him for a little bit, you know, great guy. And then, so after that, I was making frequent visits to the Star, would run into him, hey Jerry, how you doing? Last year at the Combine, we were on the Cowboys bus, you know, having a drink, laughing with Coach Garrett, Michael Irvin, you know, all on the bus together. Derek and I were there, and it's just crazy to think about me sitting there at that moment and then thinking back to 4 or 5 years prior, how this is the guy I, you know, idolize. So that's really, I mean, moments like that is what makes this whole journey and the job worth it.
Yeah, I remember when you were in high school, you always used to say, I'm going to work for Jerry Jones one day. And everyone just kind of laughed at you like, okay, Amanda.
I actually told Jerry that too. You know, I said, I always said I was going to work for you. He said, hey, we're neighbors in Texas, just come on by. You know, and he's just a great guy. And with that, I mean, when I would tell people that, they would say, oh, you want to work in football? What are you going to do, be a cheerleader? You know, so it's just that satisfaction coming from that to where I am now. It's very rewarding.
How is it, so, you know, growing up in a small town, how is it with the people that used to doubt you? Are they the ones that kind of hit you up the most about?
You know, it's funny, and I've told our family this, you know, the same people that would make those comments before, you know, oh, she'll never, you know, she comes from Chase, Kansas, what, you know, she wants to work in football, doing what, you know, why? They're the same ones hitting me up now, hey, can you get me tickets to a game? Mm-hmm. So it's funny. But, you know, I don't take it to heart. You know, I laugh it off, but it's interesting to think about.
Okay, one last question to wrap this segment up. What advice would you give to someone who wants to enter the sports business?
I would really say interning before you accept a position is so important. I don't know how many interns that I've hired, because I manage our interns that we have, and they don't know really. We could give them the job description till we're blue in the face and tell them everything about the job, but they don't really have an idea of what all it entails. They watch, you know, Ballers, Jerry Maguire, they think it's all glitz and glamour, but it's not. It's a grind. It's a lot of work that goes into it. So intern for several months before you start a job. Just make sure that that's really what you want to do. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. And, you know, if you have a good idea of what you're getting yourself into, then you'll set yourself up for success.
Well, thank you so much for sitting with me. Not only are you an inspiration in my life, I know you're an inspiration to other females who want to get in the business, or even males who want to get in the sports business as well. Stay tuned to TMN TV for the next episode of Defend the Fort coming soon. To stay up to date on the latest news throughout the week, visit TigerMediaNet.com. Until next time, Tigers, continue to defend the fort.